Okay, I've cut this piece out, and now all I need to do is sand it down. So grab a piece of sandpaper. And sand the sides of it. So it's smooth. Now you can just do the top if you want. Okay, this is good enough. Plastic's a bit easier. Now, just to give it a quick test, move the locks out of the way and see if it fits in. See if your piece of plastic fits in. This can be a bit difficult if you have to get the locks out of the way. Come on. Alright. Look, perfect. It all fits. And you notice that there's a gap here. That doesn't matter. Don't think you've cut it wrong. All that matters is that you can slide it. When you slide it on each end, like I can slide that forward. Like if you stick your finger at the end of it, you can slide it forward and it will have that lock pushed out of the way. And then you slide it forward on the other end. It's got that lock pushed out of the way. And you want it so it can slide fairly easy, but still not be able to wobble around. Okay. Now that you've got that cut out, and it all works properly, the next step is to make those little gaps in there, except you have to cut these in the exact right spot or else it won't work. So I think this end's a little bit bigger, so there we are, perfect. Now look, I'll slide that in. If you slide it all the way up to the end, and just make sure you've got it going the right way. Alright, so that's the back end. You want it so when it's, zoom in for you, when you slide it down all the way down to one end, mark the end just at the back of that lock, like just say right about there. Okay, then slide it all the way forward, just so it's at the very end of it, and mark it at the back of that lock. Alright, there you have 2 marks on it, and then you're going to have to find out, you stick the blade in, and this is on the bottom end, you stick it in, stick the blade in, and figure out how far that lock piece has to be in. So I'd say it has to be about there. Look, so now you need to figure out how far that lock needs to go in, like the distance it moves. And sort of like draw a little mark on there. And sort of make an angle with those. Then from there, just slowly curve as you're drawing it up. Slowly just draw a curve. Except when you do this, remember that I'm going to be getting rid of all the black. I won't be able to see any black once I've cut it out. Once you've drawn that curve, make sure that once you cut it out, you can still put like your finger across there, and that top section will still be there. You don't want to take anything off that top corner, or it could even be a little bit less than that, like to something like to there, or something. But you have to still be able to have that top corner without anything taken off it, and sort of like the same sort of distance. Draw the same shape. But if you go over that top corner, you're probably going to have to cut it out again if you cut it out wrong. So look, I won't be able to see any black, so where there's black, I'll be cutting it out. And you don't want to touch the very top corner. Right there. You can cut it out just before it, but don't touch the top corner. Alright, I'll cut this out and I'll come back. Okay, it's been cut out. You can see it there. I'll zoom out a little bit. Now that you've cut those shapes out, give them a sand just so there's no rough corners on there. Alright, now we'll give it a quick test. You stick it in, you'll notice it's a lot easier to put in this time. Alright, I think I might have even done this one. Yeah, I didn't do this one very well. See down this end. Very poorly done. Trying to think about how I can fix that. Maybe, yeah, well I think I've cut that out a little bit too bad there. I'll try to flip it around and see if that helps. I'll explain why it hasn't worked. Yep. So the problem is I'm actually going to have to cut out another piece of this wood because I've done it wrong. So you don't want to do it wrong or else this happens. The reason why it's not going to work is there's too much of a gap from there to there. So when I go to slide this piece forward to move that lock out of the way, it just hits on there, hits on the top, and it won't flick it out of the way. Where this one might be curved a little bit differently, but look. So that's exactly what you want right there. And you'll notice too, another quick thing is if you're wondering how this lock here actually keeps the blade in place, you see it actually hits on there, which makes a nice gap so that blade can't go anywhere. Alright, then when you slide it down, it moves. So if you happen to have wrecked it and done it like I have, what you can do is get your piece of wood again and find out if one of the sides does work. You just put a little mark on it so you know, and grab your piece of wood again. Alright, grab your piece of wood, or plastic, whatever you're using, and stick it on, or just like line it up in the corner, and just trace around it. So I'll just be tracing around there. This will be hard for you to see, but see, you just trace. You're just tracing around it, around the back, and trace around the good side, the side that does work, and probably down there. So you've got this sort of like mark out here, and the reason why I drew that one on but not the bottom one is because that one works, this one doesn't, this little latch bit doesn't. So I will have to do it probably like, you can learn from your mistakes too. So instead of drawing it so far back, I'll only draw it like that. So see how you can see the difference of where I've drawn the mark? Just do that and then cut that piece out and come back. Oh, this is only if you messed it up though. If it works fine, like I'll show you in a second, keep it like that. Okay. Okay, I'm back and I cut out the take two, like the second one. Now I need to sand it down just so it gets and comes smooth. Alright, so this is the second one. I'll have to give it a test now. Pop it in there. I just need to sand it down a little bit more, hang on. Alright, this is, I hope this one will work. Sand it down a bit more. The reason why it's not fitting too well is because I've cut it out. I tried to just do it a little bit bigger. It turns out that doesn't work very well because it won't fit. Just let me sand it down a bit more.